should have married you years ago. The words slipped out like a joke, but Maya Aras didn't laugh. For 9 years, the billionaire businesswoman had hidden her feelings behind friendship, standing beside Ethan Cole as he raised his daughter alone, never once asking for more. Now everything was about to shatter. But before I tell you how a single father almost lost the woman who loved him longer than anyone else, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let's begin. The bookshelf was supposed to be simple. Ethan Cole stood in the middle of Maya's penthouse living room, staring at the instruction manual like it had personally insulted him. Around him, polished marble floors stretched toward floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Everything in this place screamed money, the kind of money Ethan would never understand, no matter how many times Maya invited him over. "You're holding it upside down," Maya said from behind him. Ethan flipped the manual right side up without looking at her. "I knew that." "Wo sorishi o os." "Sure you did." He could hear the smile in her voice. Maya Aras had that effect on him, made everything feel lighter, even when he was drowning. At 30 years old, she ran a tech empire most people only read about in business magazines. She wore tailored blazers that probably cost more than his car. She attended galas with politicians and celebrities. And somehow, she still showed up at his cramped 2-bedroom apartment every Sunday to help his 6-year-old daughter with her homework. "Hand me that screwdriver," Ethan said, gesturing vaguely toward the toolbox. Maya crouched beside him, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. She picked up the screwdriver and pressed it into his palm. Her fingers lingered just a second longer than necessary. Ethan pretended not to notice. He'd been pretending for years. "Lily asked about you yesterday," he said, fitting a wooden panel into place. "Wanted to know when you were coming over again." "I saw her 3 days ago." "Yeah, well, 3 days is a long time when you're 6. Maya laughed softly. "Tell her I'll be there Tuesday. I promised I'd help her build that volcano for her science project." "You don't have to do that." "I know, but she would anyway." That was the problem. Or maybe it wasn't a problem at all. Ethan didn't know anymore. Somewhere along the way, Maya had woven herself so deeply into his life that he couldn't imagine it without her. She wasn't just his best friend. She was the person who remembered Lily's favorite cereal. The one who knew Ethan took his coffee black with 2 sugars. The woman who showed up at the hospital at 2 in the morning when Lily had pneumonia last winter, still wearing her evening gown from some charity event. She never asked for anything in return, and Ethan had never questioned why. "How's work?" Maya asked, settling onto the floor beside him. "Same as always. Henderson's writing me about the bridge project again. Thinks I'm behind schedule. Are you?" "Maybe." Ethan fit another panel into place, frowning when it didn't align properly. "I don't know. Everything feels behind lately." Maya was quiet for a moment. Then she reached over and adjusted the panel, her hand steady and sure. It clicked into place perfectly. "You're doing fine, Messiah," she said. "Easy for you to say. You run a billion-dollar company, and you're raising a child by yourself while working 60-hour weeks. I think that's harder." Ethan glanced at her. Maya's expression was sincere, open. She always looked at him like that, like he was worth something more than the tired single father he saw in the mirror every morning. "You give me too much credit," he muttered. "You don't give yourself enough." They worked in silence for a while, the city humming below them. Ethan found himself relaxing into the rhythm of it, Maya handing him tools, their shoulders brushing occasionally, the quiet comfort of her presence. This was the Maya most people never saw. Not the sharp-edged businesswoman in boardrooms or the poised figure at charity galas. Just Maya. The woman who wore old jeans and stolen Harvard sweatshirts on Saturday afternoons. The one who laughed at his terrible jokes and never made him feel small for living in a world so different from hers. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan said suddenly. "Always." "Why do you do this?" Maya's hands stilled. "Do what?" "All of it. Helping me with Lily, showing up when I need you, spending your weekends putting together furniture instead of, I don't know, whatever billionaires do on weekends. Maybe I like putting together furniture." "Maya." She was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was softer than before. "You're my best friend, Ethan. That's what friends do. Something about the way she said it made Ethan's chest tighten. He opened his mouth to respond, then closed it again. What was he supposed to say? That sometimes he wondered if friendship was really all this was. That on the nights when Maya stayed late, reading bedtime stories to Lily while he finished the dishes, he caught himself imagining a different life. One where she didn't leave at the end of the evening? He shook his head. Stupid thoughts. Dangerous thoughts. Maya had built an empire from nothing. She could have anyone she wanted. Why would she ever want him? A widowed engineer who could barely keep his head above water most days? You're quiet, Maya said. Just tired. Liar. Ethan huffed a laugh despite himself. Fine. I was thinking about how ridiculous this is. You've got a master's degree from Harvard, and you're sitting on my floor building IKEA furniture. Your floor? Your floor, whatever. I like your floor better. My floor has stains from when Lily spilled grape juice. Exactly. It has character. Ethan shook his head, but he was smiling now. That was another thing Maya did. Made him smile when he didn't think he had it in him. They finished the bookshelf in another 20 minutes. It stood crooked, one shelf slightly higher than the others, but Maya declared it perfect anyway. It's not perfect, Ethan said. Nothing is. That's what makes it good. Cute. She was looking at him when she said it, her dark eyes steady and warm. Ethan felt something shift in his chest, something that had been shifting for longer than he wanted to admit. Maybe you should just marry me already, he said. The words came out like a joke. Light, easy. The kind of thing he'd said a dozen times before when Maya did something impossibly kind. But this time, Maya didn't laugh. She went very still. Ethan's smile faltered. Maya? My size. She turned away, busying herself with gathering the leftover screws. That's not funny. I know what you were doing. Her voice was tight now, controlled. You always do that. Do what? Make jokes about things that aren't jokes. Ethan stared at her. Maya's shoulders were tense, her hands moving too quickly as she packed away the tools. Something was wrong, very wrong. Maya, I'm sorry. I know you didn't mean it. She stood abruptly. You never mean it. What's going on? Nothing. She pressed her fingers to her temples. I need you to go. What? Please, Ethan, just go. He didn't move, couldn't move. This wasn't how things went with Maya. They didn't fight. They didn't have moments like this, sharp and jagged and wrong. Did I say something? He asked quietly. Maya laughed, but it wasn't her real laugh. It was hollow, bitter. You've been saying it for 9 years. I'm just tired of hearing it. I don't understand. I know. She finally looked at him, and Ethan's breath caught. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. That's the problem. You don't understand. You've never understood. Then help me understand. I can't. Her voice broke on the words. I can't do this anymore. Do what? But Maya just shook her head. She walked to the door and opened it, standing there like a stranger in her own home. Ethan felt panic rising in his chest. This was Maya, his Maya, the person who had stood beside him through the worst years of his life. Whatever was happening, whatever he'd done, he couldn't lose her. Please, he said, just talk to me. I've been talking to you for 9 years. You just weren't listening. Maya, go home to Lily, she said quietly. She needs you. And then she closed the door. Ethan stood in the hallway for a long time, staring at the polished wood, trying to make sense of what had just happened. His phone buzzed, probably Lily's babysitter wondering when he'd be home. He left, but the entire drive back, all he could think about was the look in Maya's eyes, like she'd been breaking for a long time, and he'd never noticed. Babke. Lily was sitting at the kitchen table when Ethan got home, coloring a picture of a dragon. She looked up when he walked in, her blonde hair pulled into messy pigtails. Where's Maya? She asked immediately. She had work stuff. But it's Saturday. I know, baby. Lily frowned, clearly unsatisfied with the answer, but she went back to her coloring. Ethan collapsed onto the couch, exhaustion settling into his bones. The apartment felt too small suddenly, too quiet despite Lily's presence. He kept replaying Maya's words in his head. You've been saying it for 9 years. What had he been saying? His phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from his sister, Claire. Did you finally screw things up with Maya? Ethan stared at the message. How did Claire even know something was wrong? He typed back, "What are you talking about?" Her response came immediately. "You're an idiot. Call me." But Ethan didn't call. He didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to examine the horrible sinking feeling in his gut that told him he'd just destroyed the most important relationship in his life. Instead, he got up and made dinner, boxed mac and cheese because that was all he had the energy for. Lily chattered about her day, about the dragon she was drawing, about how Emma at school said dragons weren't real, but Lily thought maybe they were just really good at hiding. Ethan smiled and nodded it in all the right places, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. Later that night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan found himself standing in the kitchen staring at the refrigerator. Maya's handwriting covered half of it: shopping lists, reminders for Lily's doctor appointments, a recipe for the lasagna she'd made last week that Lily had loved, evidence of a life Maya had built beside his, without him ever asking, without him ever realizing. He thought about the first time they'd met, at a coffee shop near the hospital where his wife Sarah had been receiving treatment. Ethan had been a mess back then, barely holding it together, surviving on 3 hours of sleep and cold coffee. Maya had been sitting at the next table, typing furiously on her laptop, and when Ethan's phone rang with the call saying Sarah's condition had worsened, he'd knocked over his entire cup. Maya had helped him clean it up without a word. A week later, Sarah was gone. Ethan remembered standing in the hospital parking lot at 3 in the morning, holding newborn Lily and having no idea what to do next. And then Maya had been there, the stranger from the coffee shop who'd given him her number and told him to call if he needed anything. He'd called, and she'd answered, every single time for 9 years. Ethan sank into a chair, his head in his hands. How had he never seen it? All those Sunday afternoons, all those late nights when Maya stayed to help with Lily's homework, or fix a leaky faucet, or just sit with him when the silence got too heavy. All those times she'd shown up exactly when he needed her. Had she been waiting? Hoping? You've been saying it for 9 years. No. That couldn't be right. Maya was his best friend. She dated other people. There'd been that businessman last year, the one who'd taken her to Paris for a weekend. Ethan had hated that guy on principle. But surely if Maya had feelings for him, she wouldn't have. But she'd broken up with him after 2 months, just like she'd broken up with the lawyer before that, and the venture capitalist before that. Ethan stood abruptly and grabbed his phone. He pulled up Maya's contact and stared at it for a long time before finally typing, "I'm sorry, can we talk?" The message delivered, but Maya didn't respond. Not that night, not the next morning, not for 3 days. Sag. By Tuesday, Ethan was losing his mind. Maya had vanished. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her assistant said she was unavailable. Even Claire, who somehow seemed to know everyone, couldn't track her down. "She probably just needs space," Claire said when Ethan called her for the 4th time that week. "You probably freaked her out." "I didn't do anything." "That's the problem." "What's that supposed to mean?" Claire sighed heavily. "Ethan, I love you, but you're an idiot." "Everyone keeps saying that because it's true. Maya's been in love with you since Sarah died. Everyone knows it. The only person who doesn't is you." The words hit Ethan like a physical blow. "That's not, she never said." "Of course she never said. You were grieving, then you were surviving, then you were just, I don't know, existing. And Maya was there the whole time, waiting for you to see her. But you never did." "Claire, do you love her?" The question hung in the air. Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I don't know," he said finally. "Then you need to figure it out, because if you don't, you're going to lose her for good." Claire hung up before he could respond. Ethan sat in his kitchen for a long time after that, turning his sister's words over in his mind. Was she right? Had Maya been in love with him this whole time? And more importantly, what did he feel? He thought about Maya making breakfast in his kitchen, her hair still messy from sleep. Maya reading to Lily in that patient voice she used, even when Lily asked her to read the same story 3 times in a row. Maya showing up at parent-teacher conferences because she knew Ethan was drowning at work. Maya holding his hand at Sarah's grave on the anniversary of her death, not saying anything, just being there. Maya, Maya, Maya. his best friend, his constant. The woman who had been building a life beside him while he was too blind to see it. "Dad?" Ethan looked up. Lily stood in the doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing, baby." "Why aren't you in bed?" "You look sad." Kids were too perceptive. Ethan forced a smile. "I'm okay. Where's Maya? She was supposed to help me with my volcano." "I know. She's been busy." "For 3 whole days?" "Yeah, what?" Lily climbed into his lap, wrapping her small arms around his neck. "Did you make her mad?" "Maybe. You should say sorry." "I tried." "Try harder." Ethan laughed despite himself. "When did you get so smart?" "I've always been smart. You just don't notice." She said it so matter-of-factly that Ethan's heart clenched. How many other things had he failed to notice? How many people had been right in front of him, waiting for him to wake up? "I miss Maya," Lily said quietly. "Me too, baby." "Then go find her." "I don't know where she is." "Yes, you do." Lily pulled back to look at him seriously. "She always goes to the lake when she's sad, remember?" Ethan blinked. The lake house. Maya had mentioned it once, a place her family owned upstate, somewhere she went when she needed to think. He'd never been there, but she'd talked about it enough that he could probably find it. "You're right," he said slowly. "I know." Lily climbed off his lap. "Now go get her. I need help with my volcano." Ethan stood, his mind already racing. It was late, too late to drive 3 hours upstate tonight, but first thing in the morning. He could do this. He would do this, because somewhere between building furniture and making mac and cheese and watching Maya read bedtime stories, Ethan had fallen in love. He just hadn't realized it until she was gone. The drive upstate took longer than Ethan expected. He left before sunrise, while Lily was still asleep at Claire's apartment, and drove through morning traffic with his hands clenched tight on the steering wheel. By the time he reached the lake house, it was nearly noon. The property sat at the end of a long dirt road, surrounded by trees that were just starting to turn color. It was beautiful in that effortless way. Expensive things always were. Not showy, just quietly perfect. A 2-story cabin with large windows overlooking the water. Maya's car sat in the driveway. Ethan's heart hammered as he climbed out of his car. He had no plan, no speech prepared. He just knew he couldn't leave things the way they'd ended on Saturday. He knocked on the door. No answer. "Maya?" he called. "It's me. Can we talk?" Still nothing. Ethan tried the doorknob. Unlocked. He pushed it open slowly. "Maya." He found her on the back deck overlooking the lake. She sat in an Adirondack chair with her knees pulled to her chest, wearing an oversized sweater despite the warm afternoon. She didn't turn when he stepped outside. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I know." "Then why are you?" Ethan moved closer, his stomach twisting with nerves. "Because I needed to see you." "Why?" "Because—" He trailed off, suddenly unsure. What was he supposed to say? That he'd finally figured out what should have been obvious years ago? That he was terrified of losing her? That he was an idiot who'd taken the most important person in his life for granted? All of it felt inadequate. Maya finally looked at him. Her eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. "I loved you," she said quietly. "For 9 years, I loved you. And I never told you because I didn't want to ruin what we had. But Saturday, when you said that thing about marrying you," she laughed bitterly, "I realized I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep pretending that being your friend was enough." Ethan's throat tightened. "Maya, let me finish." She stood, wrapping her arms around herself. "I turned down marriage proposals for you. I broke up with good men for you. I built my entire life around being close to you and Lily because I thought maybe, if I was patient enough, you'd eventually see me. But you never did. And I can't keep waiting. I see you now." "Do you? Or did you just finally notice because I pulled away?" The question hit harder than anything else she'd said, because Ethan didn't have a good answer. Had he really seen Maya, or had he just panicked at the thought of losing her? "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe you're right. Maybe I've been blind. But I'm here now, and I'm telling you that I don't want to lose you. That's not the same as loving me." "I know." Ethan took a step closer. "But what if it could be? What if I've been in love with you for years and just didn't let myself admit it? Maya's expression cracked, just slightly. Don't say that unless you mean it. I mean it. You don't. You're scared of being alone. You're scared of losing your best friend. But that's not love, Ethan. That's convenience. It's not convenient. Nothing about you has ever been convenient. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustration bleeding into his voice. You complicated everything the moment you walked into my life. You made me want things I thought I'd given up on. You made me hope for more than just surviving. Then why didn't you ever say anything? Well, because I was terrified. Because Sarah had just died and I had a newborn, and I could barely keep my head above water. Because you were the only stable thing in my life, and I was afraid of ruining it. Because he stopped, his voice breaking. Because I didn't think I deserved you. Maya was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. You idiot. I know. Do you have any idea how many nights I went home and cried because you looked at me like I was just your friend? How many times I watched you go on dates with other women and convinced myself I was fine? How many years I wasted hoping you'd wake up? I'm awake now. It might be too late. The words landed like a punch to the gut. Ethan closed the distance between them, taking Maya's hands in his. She tried to pull away, but he held on. Please don't give up on me, he said. I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I've hurt you. But I swear, if you let me, I will spend the rest of my life making this up to you. How? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. Just don't walk away. Not yet. Maya looked at their joined hands, then back up at his face. What about Lily? She misses you. She told me to come find you. That's not what I mean. What happens when this doesn't work out? When you realize you only wanted me because I was always there, Lily will be the one who gets hurt. It will work out. You don't know that. You're right, I don't. Ethan squeezed her hands gently. But I know that I can't imagine my life without you in it. I know that when I think about the future, you're there. I know that Lily loves you. And I know that I've been falling in love with you for longer than I want to admit. I was just too scared to do anything about it. Maya was quiet for a long time. The lake lapped gently against the shore behind them. Somewhere in the trees, birds called to each other. Finally, she spoke. I'm scared. Me too. I'm scared that you'll change your mind, that you'll decide this was a mistake, that I'll lose you and Lily and everything I've built. You won't lose us. You can't promise that. Then promise me you'll try. That's all I'm asking. Just try. With me. Maya pulled her hands free and Ethan's heart sank. But then she reached up and touched his face, her palm warm against his cheek. I've loved you since the day I saw you holding Lily in the hospital, she whispered. You looked so terrified and so determined and so completely overwhelmed. And I thought, that's the kind of man who deserves everything. So I stayed. I stayed through every hard moment because I wanted to give you everything, even if you never asked for it. I'm asking now. Maya closed her eyes. This is crazy. I know. We could ruin everything. Or we could have everything. She opened her eyes again, searching his face. Whatever she saw there must have been enough, because she leaned forward and pressed her forehead to his chest. Okay, she breathed. Okay. Ethan wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. Relief flooded through him so strongly it made him dizzy. Thank you, he said into her hair. Don't thank me yet. I'm still mad at you.
Bear.
They stood like that for a long time, Maya trembling slightly, Ethan holding her like she might disappear if he let go. The afternoon sun warm on their backs. When Maya finally pulled away, her eyes were still wet, but she was smiling, that real smile that Ethan had missed for the past 3 days. Lily really asked you to come find me? She asked. She said you go to the lake when you're sad. Smart kid. She gets it from you. Maya laughed, wiping at her eyes. What do we do now? I don't know. I've never done this before. Me neither. She took his hand, threading their fingers together. We'll figure it out. And standing there on the deck of her lake house, with the water shining behind them and years of unspoken feelings finally out in the open, Ethan believed her. They would figure it out, together. The drive back from the lake house felt different. Ethan kept glancing at Maya in the passenger seat of his car, half expecting her to disappear. She'd followed him back in her own vehicle, but when they stopped for gas an hour outside the city, she'd climbed into his car instead. "I don't want to be alone yet," she'd said simply. Now she sat with her knees tucked up, staring out the window at the passing landscape. Her hand rested on the center console between them, close enough that Ethan could reach over and take it if he wanted to. He wanted to. But something held him back. Maybe it was the fear that this fragile new thing between them could shatter if he moved too fast. Maybe it was the weight of 9 years of friendship that he didn't want to lose. Or maybe he was just a coward. "You're thinking too loud," Maya said without looking at him. "Sorry. What's going on in that head of yours?" Ethan tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "I'm trying to figure out how to do this right." "There's no instruction manual, Ethan." "I know. That's what scares me." Maya finally turned to look at him. "You don't have to be scared. Easy for you to say. You've had 9 years to think about this. I've had 3 days." Tamal is scared. "Actually, I've spent 9 years terrified you'd never feel the same way. So we're even." "Bashras Dhi says," she said it lightly, but Ethan heard the truth underneath. Maya had been carrying this alone for nearly a decade. While he'd been oblivious, moving through life with her as his constant companion, she'd been hoping, waiting, loving him in silence. The guilt sat heavy in his chest. "I'm sorry," he said. "You've already apologized." "I know, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry I didn't see you sooner. I'm sorry I made you wait. I'm sorry I was so wrapped up in my own mess that I missed what was right in front of me." Maya reached over and took his hand, lacing their fingers together. "Stop apologizing." "But, Ethan, I chose to wait. That's on me, not you. You don't owe me anything for the time I spent loving you." "That's not how it feels." "I know." She squeezed his hand. "But we can't start this by drowning in guilt. What happened, happened. We're here now. That's what matters." Ethan brought her hand to his lips and kissed her knuckles. Maya's breath caught slightly, and when he glanced at her, she was blushing. "That's new," she said. "Good new or bad new?" "I don't know yet. Ask me later." They drove in comfortable silence for a while, hands still linked. Ethan's mind kept circling back to Lily. His daughter was the center of his world, and whatever happened between him and Maya would affect her too. He couldn't afford to screw this up. "What are we going to tell Lily?" he asked. "The truth, is it?" "Which is what exactly?" "That her dad and her—" Ethan trailed off, realizing he didn't even know what to call Maya. Best friend didn't cover it anymore. Girlfriend felt wrong after 9 years. "What do I even call you now?" Maya smiled. "I don't know. What do you want to call me?" "Something that doesn't sound like we're in high school." "Fair point. This is weird, isn't it? We're too old to be figuring this out for the first time." "Speak for yourself. I'm not old." "You know what I mean." Maya shifted in her seat to face him better. "It is weird, but everything about us has always been weird. Why stop now?" She had a point. Their entire relationship had existed outside normal boundaries from the start. Maya had walked into his life at the worst possible moment and stayed there, building something that didn't have a name. Maybe they didn't need to force it into a box now. "What if we just see what happens?" Ethan suggested. "No labels, no pressure, just us figuring it out as we go." "That sounds terrifying." "Yeah, it does." "Okay." "Okay?" "Okay." Maya settled back in her seat, a small smile playing at her lips. "We'll figure it out." By the time they reached the city, the sun was setting. Ethan pulled up outside Maya's building, but neither of them moved to get out. "I should go get Lily from Claire's," Ethan said. "Right. But I don't want to." Maya laughed softly. "Then don't. Not yet. Claire's probably wondering where I am. Text her." So Ethan did, sending a quick message that he'd pick up Lily in an hour. Claire's response came immediately. "About time." "My sister thinks I'm an idiot," Ethan said. "Your sister is correct." "Thanks." Maya grinned. "Come upstairs." "Maya, just for a little while. We can order food, talk, figure out what comes next." Ethan wanted to, more than he probably should, but something in him hesitated. This thing between them was still so new, so fragile. What if he moved too fast and broke it? Maya must have seen the war playing out on his face because she squeezed his hand. It's just dinner, Ethan. We've had dinner together 1,000 times. This feels different. It is different. But that doesn't mean we have to be different. Not yet. So they went upstairs. Maya's penthouse looked the same as it had on Saturday, but everything felt shifted somehow, like Ethan was seeing it through new eyes. The bookshelf they'd built together still stood crooked against the wall. Maya's laptop sat open on the kitchen counter, surrounded by coffee mugs. A framed photo of her, Ethan, and Lily at the zoo last summer hung near the door. How had he never noticed how deeply woven into each other's lives they were? Pizza or Thai? Maya asked, already pulling out her phone. Thai. Pad see ew. With extra vegetables. Maya ordered without asking anything else. She knew his order by heart. Just like she knew he took 2 sugars in his coffee, and that he couldn't sleep if he ate too late, and that he hated cilantro with an irrational passion. She'd been paying attention for 9 years. While they waited for the food, they sat on the couch. The same couch where Ethan had watched movies with Maya dozens of times. Where they'd fallen asleep during Lord of the Rings marathons. Where Maya had held him while he cried on the anniversary of Sarah's death. But now Maya sat closer than before. Close enough that their thighs touched. Close enough that Ethan could smell her shampoo. This is weird, he said. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Do you want me to move? No. The answer came faster than Ethan expected. No, I don't want you to move. Maya leaned her head on his shoulder. Good. They sat like that until the food arrived. It should have been awkward, this new physical closeness between them, but somehow it wasn't. It felt like slipping into a routine they'd been practicing for years without realizing it. Over dinner, they talked. Not about feelings or the future or what they were doing, just normal things. Maya told him about a deal her company was closing. Ethan complained about Henderson and the bridge project. They argued about whether the Mets had any chance this season. It was familiar and comfortable and exactly what Ethan needed. But underneath the normalcy, something hummed. Every time Maya's hand brushed his, every time she looked at him and smiled, every time she laughed at one of his terrible jokes. This was Maya, his best friend, but also something more now. And he had no idea how to reconcile the two. You're thinking too loud again, Maya said, stealing a spring roll from his plate. Can't help it. Try. What if I mess this up? Maya set down her fork. Ethan, you're going to mess up. I'm going to mess up. That's how relationships work. Yeah, but this isn't just a relationship. It's us. If I screw this up, I lose everything. You won't lose me. You don't know that. Yes, I do. She reached across the table and took his hand. I spent 9 years loving you from a distance. I'm not going anywhere now. What if I can't be what you need? What if you already are? The words hung in the air between them. Ethan stared at Maya, really looked at her, and saw 9 years of patience and love and quiet devotion. She'd never asked him to be anyone other than who he was. She'd loved him at his worst, his most broken, his most exhausted. Maybe she was right. Maybe he'd been what she needed all along. He just hadn't known it. I should go get Lily, he said eventually. I know. But neither of them moved. Maya's thumb traced circles on the back of his hand, and Ethan found himself memorizing the feeling. How many times had they held hands before? Dozens, probably. But it had never felt like this. Maya? Yeah? Can I kiss you? The question came out before Ethan could stop it. Maya's eyes widened slightly, surprise flickering across her face. You want to kiss me? I do. But only if you want. Maya leaned across the table and kissed him. It wasn't dramatic or earth-shattering. It was soft and hesitant, like they were both afraid of moving too fast. Her lips tasted like Thai food and possibility. Ethan's hand came up to cup her cheek, and Maya sighed against his mouth. When they pulled apart, Maya was smiling. I've wanted to do that for 9 years. Was it worth the wait? Ask me again after you've had more practice. Ethan laughed, the tension in his chest finally easing. This was still Maya, The woman who teased him and challenged him and knew him better than anyone. Nothing had changed. Everything had changed. I really do need to get Lily, he said reluctantly. I know. But I'll see you tomorrow? You better. Ethan stood, then hesitated. This is real, right? I didn't imagine all of this? Maya stood too, wrapping her arms around his waist. It's real. Good. He kissed her again, slower this time, less hesitant, and Maya melted into him like she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. Maybe she had been. When Ethan finally left, his head was spinning and his heart was racing and he had no idea what he was doing. But for the first time in 9 years, he felt like he was moving towards something instead of just surviving. Claire's apartment was across town. When Ethan knocked, his sister opened the door with a knowing smirk. Took you long enough? She said. Don't start? I'm just saying, I've been watching you two dance around each other for years. I'm glad one of you finally did something about it. Ethan pushed past her into the apartment. Lily sat on the couch watching cartoons, still in her pajamas, even though it was almost 7 at night. Dad! She jumped up and ran to him. Did you find Maya? I did. Is she coming back? Yeah, baby, she's coming back, huh? Lily hugged him tight, and Ethan felt something in his chest settle. This was what mattered. Lily. Maya. The family they'd somehow built without him realizing it. Can we go see her now? Lily asked. Tomorrow. I promise. Okay. She pulled back to look at him seriously. Did you say sorry? I did. Good. Mama says you should always say sorry when you mess up. The casual way Lily said Mama made Ethan freeze. She'd never called Sarah that. Sarah had died when Lily was only a few days old. Lily had no memories of her biological mother, but she called Claire Aunt Claire, and Maya's name had always just been Maya. Until now, apparently. Claire caught his eye from across the room and mouthed, We'll talk later. Ethan just nodded, still processing. Lily had already moved on, gathering her stuffed rabbit and her backpack. Ready to go? She asked. Yeah, let's go home. On the drive back to their apartment, Lily chattered about her day with Aunt Claire. They'd made cookies, watched movies, built a fort out of couch cushions. Normal kid stuff that Ethan was grateful for. But his mind kept circling back to that word. Mama. When had that started, and what did it mean? Lily? He asked carefully. Why did you call Aunt Claire Mama earlier? Lily looked confused. I didn't call Aunt Claire Mama Shang. Yes, you did. You said Mama told you to always say sorry. Oh. Lily shrugged. That's what I call Maya sometimes. In my head. Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Why? Because she's like a mama. She takes care of us and makes food and reads me stories and helps with my homework. That's what mamas do, right? The simple logic of a 6-year-old. Ethan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Does Maya know you think of her that way? He asked. I don't know. I never told her. Oh, what makes us children that? Why not? Lily was quiet for a moment. Because you and Maya aren't married, and if she's not married to you, she can't really be my mama, right? Go bo worskian. Oh. Oh. Ethan's chest tightened. How long had Lily been carrying this around? How long had she been wanting Maya to be more than just the nice lady who helped out sometimes? Lily, you know Maya loves you, right? I know. And being someone's mama isn't about being married. It's about loving someone and taking care of them. Maya does that for you. So she can be my mama? If that's what you want. But maybe we should talk to Maya about it first. Okay. Lily kicked her feet against the seat. Are you and Maya going to get married? The question shouldn't have surprised Ethan, but it did. I don't know, baby. We're still figuring things out. But you love her now, right? Not just friend love. Real love. Yeah, real love. Good. Then you should marry her. That's what people do when they really love each other. If only it were that simple. They got home late. Ethan made Lily brush her teeth and change into fresh pajamas, then tucked her into bed with her rabbit. Will Maya be here tomorrow? Lily asked sleepily. I think so. Good. She yawned. I missed her. Me too, baby. Ethan kissed her forehead and turned off the light. But as he was leaving, Lily called out, Dad? Yeah? I'm glad you found Maya. She makes you happy. Ethan stood in the doorway for a long moment, his throat tight. She makes me happy too. After Lily fell asleep, Ethan collapsed on the couch and pulled out his phone. He had 17 unread messages. Most were from Claire, demanding details. A few were from coworkers, and one was from Maya. Thank you for today. I know this is scary, but I think we can do this. Ethan stared at the message for a long time before typing back, Lily calls you Mama. In her head. She told me tonight. The response came almost immediately. What? Yeah. She said you do all the things mamas do, so that's what she thinks of you as. There was a long pause. Then, I don't know what to say to that. Me neither, but I thought you should know. Another pause. Is that okay? That she thinks of me that way? Ethan's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Was it okay? Sarah had died before Lily ever knew her. Maya had been the only mother figure in his daughter's life for 6 years. Of course, Lily saw her as a mother. How could she not? It's more than okay. You've been her mother in every way that matters. Ethan, I mean it. You showed up for her when I could barely keep my head above water. You taught her to read. You stayed up with her when she was sick. You've been there for every school play and soccer game and science project. If she wants to call you Mama, then you've earned it. I'm crying right now. Good tears or bad tears? Good tears. Definitely good tears. Ethan smiled, warmth spreading through his chest. Come over tomorrow. We'll figure this out together. Okay? I'll be there in the morning. Bring coffee. Always. Ethan set his phone down and leaned back against the couch, exhaustion finally catching up with him. The past few days had been a whirlwind, but underneath the chaos and confusion and fear, there was something else. Hope. For the first time since Sarah died, Ethan could see a future that wasn't just about survival. A future where he wasn't alone, where Lily had a mother who loved her, where he had a partner who understood him. A future with Maya. He closed his eyes and let himself imagine it. Not the big moments, the wedding, the moving in together, the merging of lives. But the small things. Maya making breakfast in his kitchen every morning. Lily calling her mama out loud instead of just in her head. The three of them curled up on the couch watching movies, family dinners, inside jokes, lazy Sunday mornings, a life built together. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure, but it was what he wanted. What he'd wanted for longer than he'd been willing to admit. The next morning came too early. Ethan woke to Lily jumping on his bed, her blonde hair a wild mess around her face. Is Maya coming today? She demanded. Yes. When? Soon. How soon? Lily, it's 6:30 in the morning. So? Ethan groaned and pulled a pillow over his face. So Maya is probably still asleep like normal people. You should call her. I'm not calling her at 6:30 in the morning. Why not? Because she'll kill me. Lily giggled and bounced harder on the bed. But she loves you. She won't kill you. You clearly don't understand how relationships work. I'm 6. I don't have to understand. Fair point. Ethan dragged himself out of bed and made coffee while Lily ate cereal at the kitchen table. She was practically vibrating with excitement, and Ethan couldn't help but smile. When was the last time his daughter had been this happy? His phone buzzed with the text from Maya. I'm outside. Too early? Ethan glanced at Lily, who was staring at him expectantly. Maya's here. Lily shrieked and ran to the door. Lily, flinging it open before Ethan could stop her. Maya stood in the hallway holding 2 coffee cups and a bag of pastries, her hair still damp from the shower. Maya. Lily launched herself at Maya's legs. Maya laughed and carefully set down the coffees so she could hug Lily properly. Hey kiddo, miss me? So much. I missed you too. Ethan watched from the doorway, his chest tight. This was what he'd been too blind to see. Not just Maya's love for him, but her love for Lily. The way she lit up when she saw his daughter. The way Lily clung to her like she never wanted to let go. They were already a family. They had been for years. Come in before the neighbors complain, Ethan said. Maya stepped inside and Lily immediately grabbed her hand and started dragging her toward the couch. You have to help me with my volcano today. Remember? You promised. I remember. And we have to paint it and make it explode and write a report about it. That's a lot of work. I know. That's why I need you. Maya glanced at Ethan over Lily's head, her expression soft. He mouthed, "Thank you," and she smiled. They spent the morning working on Lily's science project. The kitchen table became a disaster zone of papier-mâché, paint, and baking soda. Maya narrated the steps like she was hosting a cooking show, making Lily laugh so hard she nearly knocked over the volcano. Ethan mostly stayed out of the way, content to watch them work together. This was what he'd been missing. Not the big moments, but these small ones. The ordinary joy of watching the two people he loved most in the world simply existing together. "Dad, you're staring," Lily said without looking up from her painting. "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "Maya, tell him to stop staring." Maya grinned. "Leave him alone. Maybe he likes what he sees." "Gross." "What's gross about it?" "You're acting like teenagers." "We're not acting like teenagers," Ethan protested. "Yes, you are. Emma's big sister acts like this with her boyfriend. It's weird." Maya laughed so hard she had to set down her paintbrush. "I like her. She's got your number." "Thanks for the support," Ethan muttered. But he was smiling. They all were. Around noon, after the volcano was painted and drying on the counter, Maya made grilled cheese sandwiches for lunch. Lily insisted they eat on the living room floor like a picnic, so they did. "Maya?" Lily asked through a mouthful of sandwich. "Don't talk with your mouth full, baby," Ethan said. Lily swallowed dramatically. "Maya, are you Dad's girlfriend now?" Ethan choked on his water. Maya's eyes went wide. "Where did that come from?" Ethan managed. "I heard you talking last night. You said you love her for real now." "Right, because 6-year-olds had superhuman hearing, apparently." Maya looked at Ethan, clearly unsure how to answer. He cleared his throat. "Maya and we're figuring things out," he said carefully. "What does that mean?" "It means we care about each other a lot, and we're trying to see if we can be more than just friends." "So you are boyfriend and girlfriend." "It's complicated, Lily." "No, it's not. You love her. She loves you. That's what boyfriend and girlfriend means." The simple logic of children strikes again. "She's not wrong," Maya said quietly. Ethan looked at her. Maya's expression was open, vulnerable, waiting to see how he'd respond. "No," he admitted. "She's not wrong." Lily grinned triumphantly. "I knew it. Emma's going to be so jealous. She thought her sister's boyfriend was cool, but my dad's girlfriend is a billionaire." "Don't tell Emma I'm a billionaire, boss," Maya said quickly. "Why not?" "Because that's not the important part." "What is the important part?" Maya glanced at Ethan again, then back at Lily. "The important part is that I love you and your dad very much, and I want to be part of your family if you'll let me." Lily's face went serious. "You mean like a real family? With you living here and everything?" "Maybe not right away, but someday, if that's okay with you." "What about being my mama?" The question hung in the air. Ethan held his breath. Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Do you want me to be your mama?" "Yeah." Lily's voice was small now, uncertain. "Is that okay?" "It's more than okay." Maya set down her sandwich and pulled Lily into her lap. "I would be honored to be your mama." "Really? Really?" Lily wrapped her arms around Maya's neck and held on tight. "I love you, Mama." Maya broke down completely, crying into Lily's hair. "I love you too, sweetheart, so much." Ethan watched them hold each other, his own eyes stinging. This was it. This was the moment everything changed. Not when he and Maya had kissed, not when they'd admitted their feelings, but right now, watching his daughter claim the mother she'd always wanted. "Dad's crying too," Lily announced. "I am not." "Yes, you are. Maybe a little." Maya laughed through her tears and reached out a hand to Ethan. He took it, letting her pull him into their embrace. The three of them sat there on the living room floor, holding each other while the world continued outside. And for the first time in 6 years, Ethan felt complete. The first real fight happened 3 weeks later. Ethan came home from work to find Maya's car in his parking spot. Not unusual, she'd been spending more time at the apartment lately, sometimes staying for dinner, sometimes staying later than that. What was unusual was the silence that greeted him when he opened the door. No Lily chattering about her day. No Maya's laugh echoing from the kitchen, just quiet. Hello? He called out. Maya appeared from the hallway, her expression tight. She's in her room. What happened? We had a disagreement. Ethan set down his briefcase. About what? About the fact that I'm not actually her parent and apparently have no right to tell her what to do. The words came out sharp, bitter. Ethan had never heard Maya sound like that before. What did you tell her to do? To finish her homework before playing on her tablet. That's it. And she told me I'm not her real mom, so I can't tell her what to do. Ethan's stomach dropped. Maya, I know it's not her fault. I know she's 6 and she's testing boundaries, but it still hurt. I'll talk to her. That's not the point. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. The point is, she's right. I'm not her real mom. I have no legal standing here. I'm just the woman who's sleeping with her dad. That's not fair, isn't it? We've been doing this for 3 weeks, Ethan. 3 weeks of pretending we know what we're doing. But the truth is, I have no idea what my role is here. Am I the girlfriend? The stepmom in training? The family friend who overstayed her welcome? You're Maya. That doesn't mean anything. It means everything. Maya shook her head. I should go. Don't. I need space to think. Then think here. Don't run away every time things get hard. I'm not running away. Yes, you are. That's what you did at the lake house. That's what you're doing now. Maya's eyes flashed with anger. You don't get to tell me what I'm doing. You've known me for 9 years, but you're just now figuring out you love me. I've been dealing with this alone for almost a decade. So excuse me if I need a minute to process the fact that the child I've been treating like my daughter just told me I'm nothing. She didn't say you were nothing. She said I'm not her real mom. Same thing. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustration building. What do you want me to do here, Maya? You want me to make Lily apologize? She's 6. Kids say things they don't mean when they're upset. I know that. But it doesn't change the fact that legally, emotionally, I'm in this weird limbo where I have all the responsibilities of being a parent, but none of the actual authority. So what are you saying? You don't want to be part of this anymore? No. I'm saying I don't know how to be part of this. And maybe we moved too fast. Maybe Lily calling me mama was too much too soon and now we're all paying for it. The words hit Ethan like a punch. You're the one who said it was okay. Because I wanted it to be okay. I've wanted to be her mother since she was born. But wanting something doesn't make it real. They stared at each other across the living room. This was the first time they'd fought, really fought, since everything changed, and Ethan had no idea how to fix it. I'm going to talk to Lily, he said finally. Fine. And then you and I are going to figure this out. There might not be anything to figure out. Don't say that. Why not? Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe we ruined a perfectly good friendship by trying to turn it into something it was never meant to be. You don't believe that. Right now, I don't know what I believe. Maya grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Ethan wanted to stop her, to pull her back and make her stay until they worked this out. But he could see the exhaustion in her eyes, the hurt she was trying to hide. So he let her go. The door closed with a soft click, and Ethan stood there, feeling like his world was falling apart again. Lily's door was covered in crayon drawings and stickers. Ethan knocked softly before pushing it open. His daughter sat on her bed, clutching her stuffed rabbit, her face red and tear-streaked. Can I come in? He asked. Lily nodded without looking at him. Ethan sat down beside her, the old mattress springs creaking under his weight. Want to tell me what happened? I was mean to Maya. I heard. Is she mad at me? She's hurt. There's a difference. Lily sniffled. I didn't mean it. I was just angry because she said I couldn't play on my tablet until I finished my stupid math homework, and I hate math. I know you didn't mean it, but words hurt, Lily, even when we don't mean them. Is Maya going to stop being my mama now? The fear in her voice broke Ethan's heart. No, baby, she's not going to stop being your mama. But I was mean to her, and people who love each other say mean things sometimes. That's part of being a family. What matters is what we do after. What do I do? You apologize, and you mean it. Lily was quiet for a moment, picking at a loose thread on her rabbit's ear. Dad? Yeah? What's a real mom? What do you mean? I said Maya wasn't my real mom, but I don't know what a real mom is supposed to be. My birth mom died when I was a baby. I don't remember her. It's... Ethan pulled Lily into his lap, holding her close. This was the conversation he'd been dreading since she was old enough to ask questions. A real mom is someone who loves you and takes care of you. It doesn't matter if you share blood or if she gave birth to you. What matters is that she shows up every day and chooses to be your mom. Like Maya does. Exactly like Maya does. So she is my real mom? If that's what you both want, then yes, she's your real mom. Yes. Lily buried her face in Ethan's chest. I want her to be my real mom. I want her to live here with us and make breakfast and help me with homework and read me stories every night. I want that too. Oh, then why did she leave? Because she's scared. Just like you get scared sometimes. And when people are scared, they sometimes need space to think. What if she doesn't come back? She'll come back. How do you know? Because she loves you too much not to. Ethan hoped that was true, but the look in Maya's eyes when she left had shaken him. For the first time since they'd started this thing between them, he wondered if love was really enough. Maya didn't answer his calls that night, or his texts. By the time Ethan got Lily to bed, he was starting to panic. This felt too much like those 3 days after she'd left for the lake house, like Maya was slipping away from him again. Around midnight, his phone finally buzzed. I'm sorry for how I reacted. Can we talk tomorrow? Ethan typed back immediately. Come over now. It's midnight. I don't care. Please. There was a long pause, then, okay, I'm on my way. She arrived 20 minutes later, still wearing the same clothes from earlier. Her eyes were red, her face bare of makeup. I shouldn't have left like that, she said before Ethan could speak. Come inside. Well, They sat on the couch in the dark living room, the city lights filtering through the windows. Maya tucked her feet under her, making herself small. I panicked, she admitted. Lily said that thing about me not being her real mom, and all I could think was that she was right. I'm not her real mom. I'm just pretending to be. You're not pretending. It feels like pretending. We're playing house, Ethan. But at the end of the day, I have no legal connection to Lily. If something happened to you, I'd have no right to her. If we break up, I lose her completely. That terrifies me. Ethan reached for her hand. Nothing's going to happen to me. You don't know that. Sarah died. Life happens. And I can't... Her voice broke. I can't lose another person I love. Another person? Hey, Maya was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. My mom died when I was 8. Car accident. One day she was there, the next she was gone. And I learned that the people you love can disappear in an instant. Ethan's chest tightened. He'd known Maya's mother was dead. She'd mentioned it once or twice over the years. But she'd never talked about it like this. Never let him see how deeply it still hurt. That's why you work so hard, he said, understanding clicking into place. That's why you built your company from nothing. You needed to control something. I needed to make sure I'd never be helpless again. If I had enough money, enough power, enough success, then maybe I could protect the people I loved. Borshin, she laughed bitterly. But it doesn't work that way, does it? I can't protect you from getting hurt. I can't protect Lily from saying things that break my heart. I can't even protect myself from loving you both so much it scares me. Ethan pulled her close, and Maya curled into him like she was trying to disappear. I'm scared too, he said into her hair. I'm terrified that I'm going to mess this up, that I'll fail you the way I failed Sarah. You didn't fail Sarah. She died, Maya. She was sick, and I couldn't fix it, and she died. That wasn't your fault. Then why does it feel like it was? They sat there in the dark, holding each other through their shared fears. This was the thing nobody told you about falling in love. It wasn't just about the good moments. It was about the terrifying vulnerability of letting someone see every broken part of you and trusting them not to run. Lily wants to apologize, Ethan said eventually. I know, I overreacted. You didn't. She hurt you. That's real. 6. Doesn't make it hurt less. 8. Maya was quiet. Then, I don't know how to do this, Ethan. I don't know how to be a mother. My own mom died when I was so young, and I never had anyone to teach me what that's supposed to look like. Neither do I. Sarah died before Lily was a week old. We're both making this up as we go. That's a terrifying thought. Yeah, but at least we're doing it together now, she. Maya tilted her head up to look at him. You really want this? All of it? The fights and the complications and the messy reality of blending our lives? Well, sir, is I want you. Everything else we can figure out. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, but it's worth it. Maya kissed him then, soft and slow and full of all the things they hadn't said yet. When they pulled apart, she was smiling slightly. I should go, she said. Stay. Ethan, just stay. Sleep in the guest room if you want. But I don't want you driving home at 1 a.m. when you're this exhausted. So Maya stayed. She borrowed one of Ethan's old t-shirts and climbed into the guest bed that had been sitting empty since Claire moved out years ago. Ethan stood in the doorway, suddenly awkward in his own home. This is weird, Maya said. Little bit. We've slept in the same house before. Yeah, but not like this. What's different? Everything. Maya smiled and patted the bed beside her. Come here. Ethan hesitated. You need space to think, remember? I changed my mind. Get in here. So Ethan climbed into bed beside her, and Maya immediately curled into him like she'd been doing it for years. Maybe in her mind, she had been. Maybe all those times they'd fallen asleep on the couch during movie marathons. She'd been imagining this. The two of them in an actual bed. No pretending they were just friends. This is nice, she said quietly. Yeah, we should do it more often. Are you asking to move in with me? Not yet, but someday. Someday soon? Maybe. If we don't kill each other first? Ethan laughed, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Deal. They fell asleep tangled together, and when Ethan woke up at dawn with Maya's hair in his face and her cold feet pressed against his legs, he thought he'd never been happier. The sound of Lily's door opening made him freeze. Maya? Lily's voice carried down the hall. Maya stirred beside him. Lily's awake. So? So we're in bed together, and she's about to find us. Oh. Maya sat up, suddenly more alert. Is that bad? I don't know, is it? They stared at each other for a moment, both unsure. Then Lily appeared in the doorway, her blonde hair sticking up in all directions. She took in the scene, Ethan and Maya in the same bed, clearly having slept there, and her face broke into a huge grin. Are you guys having a sleepover? She asked. Ethan said intelligently. Can I join? Before either adult could respond, Lily launched herself onto the bed, wiggling between them with her stuffed rabbit. This is the best morning ever, she declared. Maya caught Ethan's eye over Lily's head and mouthed, I guess it's not bad. They spent the next hour in bed together, Lily chattering about her dreams, Maya making up silly voices for the stuffed rabbit, Ethan watching his two favorite people interact and feeling his chest might burst from how full it was. Eventually, Lily turned to Maya with a serious expression. I'm sorry for what I said yesterday. Thank you, sweetheart. I didn't mean it. You are my real mama, the realest mama. Maya's eyes filled with tears. You're my real daughter, the realest daughter, even though I'm not in your tummy? Especially because you're not in my tummy. I chose you. That makes it even more special. Lily hugged her tight, and Ethan had to look away before he started crying too. Can we have pancakes? Lily asked after a moment. I think we can manage that, Ethan said. They made breakfast together, all three of them crowded in the small kitchen, Maya attempting to flip pancakes while Lily narrated like a sports announcer and Ethan burned the bacon. It was chaotic and messy, and nothing went according to plan. It was perfect. After breakfast, Maya had to leave for a board meeting. She kissed Lily goodbye, then hesitated before kissing Ethan. That's still weird to watch, Lily announced. Get used to it, Maya said, but she was smiling. After she left, Ethan and Lily spent the day running errands, grocery shopping, picking up dry cleaning, the normal weekend routine. But everything felt different now, lighter somehow. Dad? Lily asked as they loaded groceries into the car. Yeah? When is Maya going to live with us for real? I don't know, baby. We're taking things slow. That's dumb. She basically already lives with us. She should just move in. It's more complicated than that. Why? Because adults make everything complicated. That's also dumb. Ethan laughed despite himself. You're not wrong. That evening, after Lily was in bed, Ethan sat at his kitchen table staring at his laptop. He'd pulled up apartment listings in bigger places, 3 bedrooms instead of 2, enough space for Maya's things, room for Lily to have her own bathroom. It was too soon. They'd only been together officially for 3 weeks. Moving in together was crazy. But Lily was right. Maya basically already lived here. Her toothbrush sat in the bathroom holder. Her favorite coffee creamer took up half the fridge. She had clothes in his closet and books on his shelves, and her presence in every corner of this small apartment. Maybe it wasn't too soon. Maybe they'd just been slow getting here. His phone rang. Maya's name flashed across the screen. Hey, he answered. Are you busy? Just looking at apartments. What? Why? Because this place is too small. If you're going to keep sleeping over, we need more space. Maya was quiet for a moment. Are you asking me to move in with you? I'm saying I'm thinking about it, if you wanted to, eventually. No pressure. Ethan Cole, are you trying to be romantic? Is it working? Little bit. He could hear the smile in her voice. Good. For the record, Maya said, I've been looking at houses. Houses? With yards, in good school districts, near parks where Lily could play. Ethan's heart skipped. That's bigger than an apartment. I know, but if we're doing this, really doing this, I want to do it right. I want Lily to have space to grow up. I want us to have a home, not just a place to sleep. That's a big step. I'm ready for big steps. Are you? Ethan thought about it, about waking up next to Maya every morning, about Lily having a yard to play in, about building something permanent instead of just surviving day to day. Yeah, he said, I think I am. Good, because I might have already put an offer on something. Maya. What? I saw it and I loved it and I thought you and Lily would love it too. 3 bedrooms, big kitchen, fenced yard. There's even a reading nook that would be perfect for Lily. Nice. You bought a house without telling me? I didn't buy it. I made an offer. There's a difference. Maya. Just come look at it before you freak out, please. Ethan should have been angry. They'd barely been together a month and Maya was making massive life decisions without consulting him. But he couldn't muster any real frustration. Because this was Maya, impulsive and brilliant, and already 3 steps ahead of everyone else. And because a part of him was excited. When can we see it? He asked. Tomorrow afternoon. I'll pick you and Lily up after lunch. Okay. Okay? Yeah, let's go look at your house. Our house, Maya corrected softly. If you like it, it's ours. They hung up, and Ethan sat in his quiet kitchen thinking about futures and houses, and the woman who'd loved him long enough to dream about all of this years before he caught up. His phone buzzed with the text from Claire. How's the domestic bliss going? Ethan typed back. Maya might have bought us a house. Might have? She made an offer. We're looking at it tomorrow. Jesus. You two don't do anything halfway, do you? Apparently not. Good. You deserve this, little brother. Ethan stared at the message for a long time. Did he deserve this? After years of just surviving, of keeping his head down and getting through each day, did he really deserve this kind of happiness? Maybe not. But he was going to take it anyway. The house was perfect. Of course it was perfect. Maya had picked it. It sat at the end of a quiet street lined with old trees, a 2-story craftsman with a wide front porch and blue shutters. The yard was huge by city standards, with enough space for a swing set and maybe a garden. Lily ran through it like she'd lived there her whole life, claiming the bedroom with the window seat as hers and declaring the reading nook exactly right for her book collection. What do you think? Maya asked nervously as they stood in the master bedroom. I think it's too much. Too big? Too expensive. Maya, I can't afford half of this. So don't pay half. Pay a third or a quarter or whatever you're comfortable with. That's not fair to you. I don't care about fair. I care about us having a home. Ethan looked around the spacious bedroom. It had windows overlooking the backyard and an ensuite bathroom and enough closet space for 3 people. It was more than he'd ever dreamed of having. I need to think about it, he said. That's fine, take your time. But Maya looked disappointed, and Ethan felt like an idiot. She was offering him everything: a home, a future, a life together. And he was hesitating because of pride. They drove back to the apartment in relative silence, Lily filling the quiet with her running commentary about which room would be hers and where they should put the Christmas tree even though it was only September. That night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan called Claire. I'm an idiot, he said when she answered. I know, what did you do this time? Maya showed me the house she wants to buy for us. It's perfect. And I told her I needed to think about it. Why? Because I can't afford it, and it feels like I'm taking advantage of her. Claire sighed heavily. Ethan, do you love her? Yes. Does she love you? Yes. Does she love Lily? Yes. Then stop being an idiot about money. Maya doesn't care if you can't match her dollar for dollar. She cares about building a life with you. Let her. What if it doesn't work out? What if it does? Ethan was quiet. You can't live your whole life waiting for the other shoe to drop, Claire said gently. Sarah died. That was terrible and unfair, and it broke you. But you survived. And now you have a chance at something real with someone who loves you enough to stick around. Don't sabotage it because you're scared. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just don't listen. Chipus bequat. After they hung up, Ethan sat on his couch for a long time. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. He thought about Maya at the lake house, about the way she'd looked at him when she confessed she'd loved him for 9 years, about Lily calling her mama, about this morning when they'd all made pancakes together, about the life they could have in that house with the blue shutters. He picked up his phone and texted Maya. I'm in. Let's buy the house. Her response came immediately. Really? Really? Let's do this. I love you. It was the first time she'd said it like that, plainly, simply, without qualifiers or context. Just 3 words that meant everything. Ethan typed back, I love you too. Should have said it years ago. You're saying it now. That's what matters. Ethan smiled at his phone like a teenager. Claire was right. He was being an idiot, but at least he was figuring it out before it was too late. The house closed in 6 weeks. Maya paid cash, which made the whole process move faster than Ethan had thought possible. He contributed what he could, enough to feel like he wasn't completely living off her money, but they both knew the truth. This was Maya's house that she was choosing to share with him. He tried not to think about it too much. Moving day came on a Saturday in late October. Claire showed up with coffee and donuts, declaring herself the official supervisor. Lily ran circles around the moving boxes, too excited to be useful. Maya coordinated everything with the efficiency of someone who ran a multi-million-dollar company, while Ethan mostly tried to stay out of the way. You're thinking too loud again, Maya said, catching him standing in the empty living room of their new house. Just processing. Processing what? Well, so, that this is real, that we live here now. Maya set down the box she'd been carrying and came to stand beside him. Having second thoughts? No, just overwhelmed, I guess. Good overwhelmed or bad overwhelmed? I don't know yet. She took his hand, threading their fingers together. It's okay to be scared. I'm not scared. Liar. Ethan huffed a laugh. Fine, I'm terrified. This is a huge commitment, and what if I can't? Stop. Maya turned to face him fully. You're already thinking about all the ways this could fail. Don't do that. Not today. How do you stay so calm? I'm not calm. I'm faking it really well. Seriously? Seriously. I've wanted this for 9 years, Ethan. And now that I have it, I keep waiting for something to go wrong. For you to wake up and realize you made a mistake. For Lily to decide she doesn't want me as her mom after all. For the whole thing to fall apart. Ethan stared at her. Maya always seemed so confident, so sure of herself. He'd never considered that she might be just as scared as he was. We're a mess, he said. Yeah, but we're a mess together. Dad, Mama, Lily's voice echoed from upstairs. Come see my room. Maya's face lit up at the casual way Lily said, Mama, now. It had taken a few weeks, but Lily had fully committed to it. She introduced Maya as her mom at school. She made Mother's Day cards in advance for next May. She'd even started calling Maya's lake house Mama's lake house instead of just Maya's. They climbed the stairs to find Lily standing in the middle of her new bedroom, arms spread wide. "It's perfect," she declared. The room was twice the size of her old one, with the window seat Maya had promised and built-in bookshelves along one wall. They'd painted it a soft lavender, Lily's choice, and Maya had ordered curtains with tiny stars on them. "You like it?" Maya asked. "I love it." Lily launched herself at Maya, hugging her tight. "Thank you, Mama." "You're welcome, sweetheart." Ethan watched them, his chest tight. This was what he'd been missing for 6 years. Not just a partner for himself, but a mother for Lily. Someone who loved his daughter as much as he did. The rest of the day passed in a blur of unpacking, assembling furniture, and ordering pizza because none of them had the energy to cook. By the time they got Lily to bed in her new room, it was past 10 and Ethan was exhausted. "I think I'm too old for moving," he groaned, collapsing onto the couch in their new living room. "You're 32. Ancient." Maya sat beside him, pulling his feet into her lap. "Poor baby. Don't mock my pain." She laughed and started massaging his feet, which should have been weird but somehow wasn't. This was the strange intimacy they'd fallen into, comfortable and domestic and completely different from anything Ethan had experienced before. "Can I ask you something?" he said after a while. "Always. Do you ever regret it? Waiting for me all those years? You could have had anyone. You could have been married with kids of your own by now." Maya was quiet for a moment, her hands still on his feet. "Do you want the honest answer or the nice one?" "Honest. Sometimes I wonder what my life would have looked like if I'd met someone else. If I'd fallen in love with a man who loved me back right away instead of spending 9 years hoping you'd notice me." She paused. "But then I think about Lily calling me Mama, and waking up next to you, and this house we just moved into together, and I can't regret any of it, because all those years of waiting led me here." That's a very diplomatic answer. "What do you want me to say? That I'm bitter about the time I wasted? I'm not. I chose to wait. That's on me. But what if I'd never figured it out? What if I just kept being oblivious forever? Then I would have eventually moved on, found someone else, built a different life." She met his eyes. "But I'm glad I didn't have to." Ethan pulled her close, tucking her against his side. "I'm glad too." They sat like that for a long time, exhausted and surrounded by half-unpacked boxes, in a house that was too big and too expensive and somehow exactly right. "We should probably go to bed," Maya said eventually. "Probably." But neither of them moved. "This is our house," Ethan said, testing the words. "This is our house," Maya agreed. "We live here now." "We do." "That's insane. Little bit." Ethan kissed the top of her head. "I love you. I love you too, Sha." The words still felt new, fragile, but they were getting easier to say. The next few weeks were an adjustment. Lily adapted the fastest, claiming spaces throughout the house as her own and treating the move like an adventure. Maya slipped seamlessly into their routine, her presence becoming as natural as breathing, but Ethan struggled. Not because anything was wrong, but because everything felt too right, too easy, too good to be true. He kept waiting for the catch, for the moment when Maya would realize she'd made a mistake and this whole domestic life wasn't what she really wanted. "You're doing it again," Maya said one morning over breakfast. "Doing what?" "Waiting for me to leave." Ethan looked up from his coffee. "I'm not—" "Yes, you are. I can see it in your face. You're just waiting for the day I wake up and decide this isn't enough." "That's not— Ethan?" She set down her fork. "I'm not going anywhere. How many times do I have to say it? I know, you just don't believe it yet." He didn't have a good response to that. Maya reached across the table and took his hand. "I get it. Sarah left you. Not because she wanted to, but she still left. And you're terrified I'm going to do the same thing. That's not fair to you. No, it's not. But it's human, and I can't be mad at you for being scared of losing someone again." She squeezed his hand. "But you have to meet me halfway here. You have to try to believe that I'm staying. I'm trying. Try harder. There was no anger in her voice, just exhaustion. And Ethan realized with a sick feeling that his constant anxiety was starting to wear on her. I'm sorry, he said. Don't apologize. Just work on it. Maybe talk to someone if you need to. Like a therapist? Like a therapist. Ethan had never been to therapy. He'd survived Sarah's death through sheer stubbornness and Claire's forceful intervention. The idea of sitting in an office talking about his feelings made him uncomfortable. But Maya was right. He couldn't keep projecting his fears onto their relationship. Okay, he said finally. I'll look into it. Thank you. They finished breakfast in silence, but it wasn't the comfortable kind. There was a tension between them now, something unspoken that Ethan didn't know how to address. Mama, can you help me with my shoes? Lily called from the living room. Maya stood, pressing a quick kiss to Ethan's head as she passed. We'll figure it out. Would they, though? Ethan wasn't so sure. The therapy thing took a few weeks to actually happen. Ethan found a counselor who specialized in grief and relationships, made an appointment, then almost canceled it 3 times before finally forcing himself to go. Dr. Patricia Morris was in her 50s, with gray hair and kind eyes, and an office that smelled like lavender. She didn't push when Ethan sat in silence for the first 10 minutes, just waited patiently until he was ready to talk. I don't really know why I'm here, he said eventually. That's okay. Why don't you tell me what's going on in your life right now? So Ethan told her about Sarah dying 6 years ago, about Maya being his best friend for 9 years before they finally got together, about moving into a house with her and Lily and feeling like he was waiting for it all to fall apart. Why do you think you're waiting for it to fall apart? Dr. Morris asked. Because good things don't last. Not for me. Can you give me an example? My wife died when my daughter was a week old. That's a pretty clear example. That must have been incredibly painful. It was. And now you're afraid Maya will leave you the same way? Not leave, just, I don't know. Realize she made a mistake. What would make her realize that? Ethan faltered. I don't know. That I'm not enough, I guess. That I'm just a broke engineer with baggage, and she's a billionaire who could have anyone. Do you think Maya is with you because of what you can offer her financially? No. Then what is she with you for? Ethan thought about it. I don't know. I think you do know. You're just afraid to say it. She loves me. She loves you? Dr. Morris repeated. And you love her? Yes. So what's the problem? The problem is that love isn't always enough. Sarah loved me and she still died. You're right, love isn't always enough. But Sarah didn't leave you because she stopped loving you. She died from an illness. That's not the same thing as Maya choosing to leave. Ethan was quiet. I think you're carrying guilt from Sarah's death, Dr. Morris said gently. And that guilt is making it hard for you to accept happiness with Maya, because somewhere deep down, you don't think you deserve it. That's not... Ethan stopped. Because maybe it was true. Maybe he'd been punishing himself for 6 years, convinced that if he'd been a better husband, Sarah would have somehow survived. That's something to think about, Dr. Morris said, for next time. Ethan left the session feeling raw and exhausted, but also lighter somehow, like acknowledging the guilt out loud had loosened its grip slightly. He picked up Lily from school, then drove home to find Maya's car already in the driveway. She'd been working from home more often lately, conducting video meetings from the small office they'd set up in the spare bedroom. Mama! Lily ran inside, dropping her backpack in the hallway. How was school? Maya's voice carried from the kitchen. Good. We learned about dinosaurs. What? Ethan followed more slowly, finding Maya at the stove stirring something that smelled like tomato sauce. She'd changed out of her work clothes into leggings and one of his old t-shirts. Hey, she said when she saw him. Hey. How was it? Hard, good. I don't know. Maya set down the spoon and came over, wrapping her arms around him. I'm proud of you. For what? For going. I know it wasn't easy. Ethan held her close, breathing in the familiar scent of her shampoo. I'm sorry I've been difficult. You haven't been difficult. I've been waiting for you to leave. I know. I'm working on it. I know that too. She pulled back to look at him. We're okay, Ethan. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. Later that night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan and Maya sat in their bedroom talking. Really talking. About things they'd been avoiding. About Sarah and the guilt Ethan carried. About Maya's fear of losing people she loved. About the strange vulnerability of building a life together after years of friendship. I need you to know something, Maya said. I'm not Sarah. I know. I'm not going to die suddenly and leave you alone. You can't know that either. You're right, I can't. But I can promise you that I'm not going anywhere by choice. I'm here for the long haul, even when you're being impossible. I'm not impossible. You're a little impossible. Ethan smiled despite himself. Maybe a little. They lay down together, and Maya curled into him the way she always did. Do you remember the first time we met? She asked. The coffee shop, but you looked so lost, so completely overwhelmed, and I thought, that man needs someone. I didn't know it would be me, but I'm glad it was. Me too. Even with all the complications? Especially with all the complications. Maya kissed him, slow and sweet. I love you. I love you too. The words were getting easier. 2 weeks before Christmas, Ethan made a decision. He'd been thinking about it for months now, ever since they'd moved into the house. Maybe even longer than that. He'd just been too scared to admit it. But after his 4th therapy session, Dr. Morris had asked him a simple question. What do you want your future to look like? And Ethan had realized he already knew. He called Claire first. I need your help with something, he said. This sounds ominous. I want to propose to Maya. Claire was silent for a long moment. Then, holy shit. Is that a good holy shit or a bad holy shit? Good, definitely good. When? Christmas Day. At the duck park. The duck park? It's where we used to take Lily when things were really bad. Maya would meet us there every Sunday. It feels right. That's actually really sweet. Don't sound so surprised, Claire laughed. I'm not surprised. I'm just proud of you for finally pulling your head out of your ass. Thanks, I think. So what do you need from me? Help picking out a ring. They spent the next weekend going to every jewelry store in the city. Ethan had no idea what he was looking for. Everything either looked too modern or too traditional or too expensive or not expensive enough. You're overthinking this, Claire said after the 5th store. I want it to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be right. What's the difference? Perfect is what you think it should be. Right is what it actually is. Ethan stared at a display case full of glittering diamonds. That doesn't help. What is Maya like? What's her style? Ethan thought about it. Maya wore simple jewelry most of the time, a thin gold necklace she'd had since college, small stud earrings. Nothing flashy, despite the fact that she could afford anything she wanted. Simple, he said finally. Classic, nothing too modern. Okay, so we're looking for vintage or vintage-inspired. They found it at a small antique store in the Arts District. A platinum band with a single diamond, elegant and understated. The jeweler said it was from the 1940s, originally owned by someone's grandmother. That's the one, Ethan said the moment he saw it. You sure? I'm sure. Claire squeezed his arm. Sarah would be happy for you, you know. The words caught Ethan off guard. He'd been trying not to think about Sarah throughout this whole process. It felt disloyal, somehow, moving on so completely. You think so? He asked. I know so. She loved you. She would have wanted you to be happy. I wish she could have met Lily. I know, but Maya loves Lily like Sarah would have. That has to count for something. It did count for something. It counted for everything. Ethan bought the ring and spent the next 2 weeks hiding it in increasingly ridiculous places around the house. First his sock drawer, then his toolbox, then the inside pocket of a winter coat he never wore. He was paranoid Maya would find it somehow, even though she had no reason to go through his things. Lily caught him moving it one afternoon. What are you doing? She asked from the doorway. Ethan jumped, nearly dropping the ring box. Nothing. You're acting weird. Hokey. I'm not acting weird. Yes, you are. You've been acting weird for weeks. Ethan sat down on the bed, defeated. Lily came and sat beside him, swinging her legs. Can I tell you a secret? He asked. Always. I'm going to ask Maya to marry me. Lily's eyes went huge. Really? Really? On Christmas Day? Can I be there? Of course you can be there. You're the most important person in this whole thing. What if she says no? She won't say no. But what if she does? Ethan pulled Lily into his lap. Then we'll figure it out. But I don't think she will. I hope she says yes. I want her to be my mama forever. She already is your mama, baby. The ring just makes it official. Official is important, though, right? Yeah, official is important. Lily hugged him tight. I'm glad you're asking her. Me too. But, Dad? Yeah? You have to practice what you're going to say. You can't just stand there being awkward. I'm not awkward. Yup. You're super awkward. Ethan laughed despite himself. Thanks for the vote of confidence. That's what I'm here for. Christmas morning came cold and bright. Lily woke up at 6, demanding to open presents, and they spent the morning in their pajamas surrounded by wrapping paper and bows. Maya had gone overboard as usual, buying Lily half a toy store's worth of things. Ethan had gotten Maya a first edition of her favorite book, which made her cry. I love it, she said, holding the worn volume carefully. How did you even find this? I have my ways. Thank you. She kissed him, and Lily made exaggerated gagging noises from across the room. Around noon, after they'd cleaned up the present debris and eaten brunch, Ethan suggested going to the duck park. It's freezing outside, Maya said. I know, but it's tradition. Remember? We always used to go to the duck park on Sundays. That was years ago. So, let's bring it back. Maya looked at him suspiciously. You're up to something. I'm not up to anything. You're a terrible liar. Just humor me, please. So they bundled up in coats and scarves and drove to the small park where Ethan had spent countless Sunday afternoons when Lily was younger. Back when he was barely holding it together and Maya would meet them there, bringing coffee and patience and quiet company. The park was mostly empty on Christmas Day. A few other families wandered around, but they had the duck pond largely to themselves. Lily ran ahead, throwing pieces of bread to the ducks that had somehow survived the winter. This is nice, Maya said, slipping her gloved hand into Ethan's. Yeah. Why are you nervous? I'm not nervous. Your hands are sweating. It's cold. Hands don't sweat when they're cold, Ethan. They sweat when you're nervous. She turned to look at him. What's going on? This wasn't how Ethan had planned it. He'd wanted to wait until they were alone, until he'd found the perfect words. But Maya was looking at him with those dark eyes that saw through every defense he'd ever built, and he couldn't wait another minute. He pulled the ring box from his coat pocket. Maya went very still. 9 years ago, Ethan said, you walked into my life at the worst possible moment. I was a mess. I had a newborn baby and no idea what I was doing, and I was drowning. And you just stayed. You stayed through all of it, the sleepless nights and the grief and the chaos. You loved Lily before I even knew what to do with that love. You loved me before I was capable of loving you back. Ethan, let me finish, please. He opened the ring box with shaking hands. I wasted 9 years being blind. 9 years of having you right there and not seeing what was in front of me. And I can't get those years back. But I can give you every year I have left. Every morning and every night and every moment in between. If you'll have me. Tears were streaming down Maya's face now. Are you asking what I think you're asking? Maya Aras, will you marry me? For a moment, Maya just stood there crying. Then she laughed, a wet, broken sound, and nodded. Yes, she said. Yes, of course, yes. Ethan fumbled with the ring. Shh, shh. Ethan, his hand shaking too much to get it on her finger properly. Maya helped him, steadying his hands with her own. It's perfect, she whispered, looking at the vintage band. You're sure? Because we can. It's perfect, she repeated firmly. You're perfect. This is perfect. Nothing about me is perfect. You're perfect for me. She kissed him then, hard and desperate, like she'd been waiting 9 years for this moment, which, Ethan supposed, she had been. "Mama!" Lily came running over. "Did you say yes?" "I said yes." Lily shrieked and threw herself at both of them, nearly knocking them over. The three of them stood there in the cold park, holding each other while the ducks quacked indifferently and other families walked by. "We're getting married," Maya said, like she couldn't quite believe it. "We're getting married," Ethan agreed. "Can I be in the wedding?" Lily asked. "Of course you can be in the wedding. Can I wear a fancy dress?" "The fanciest dress we can find." Lily grinned. "This is the best Christmas ever." They stayed at the park for another hour, watching the ducks and making plans and soaking in the strange joy of this new chapter. When they finally headed home, Maya kept looking at her ring like she was afraid it would disappear. "Still can't believe it?" Ethan asked. "Not even a little bit." "Get used to it. You're stuck with me now." "Good. I've been stuck with you for 9 years anyway. Might as well make it official." That night, after Lily was asleep, Maya and Ethan lay in bed talking about the future, about wedding plans and timelines, and whether they wanted something big or small. "I don't care what we do," Maya said, "as long as it ends with me being your wife." "That's surprisingly unbillionaire of you." "What can I say? You've made me soft." "I like you soft." "Good, because I have no intention of going back to being tough." Ethan kissed her temple. "Thank you." "For what?" "For waiting. For loving Lily. For giving me a second chance at happiness." "You don't have to thank me for any of that." "I know, but I want to." Maya was quiet for a moment. Then, "Can I tell you something?" "Always." "Yes." "I used to dream about this. About you proposing. About becoming a real family. And in my dreams it was always perfect. Everything went exactly right." She paused. "But this was better than my dreams. Because it was real. And messy. And you were nervous and I was crying." And Lily interrupted. "It was perfectly imperfect." "Perfectly imperfect," Ethan repeated. "I like that." "It's us." "Yeah, it's definitely us." They fell asleep tangled together, and when Ethan woke up in the middle of the night, he found Maya still wearing her engagement ring, her hand resting on his chest. He'd spent 6 years just surviving, but now he was living again. And it was better than he ever could have imagined. The wedding planning started the day after Christmas and immediately became more complicated than either of them had anticipated. Maya wanted something small and intimate. Ethan agreed. But then Maya's assistant pointed out that as the CEO of a major tech company, there were certain people who would be offended if they weren't invited. Business partners, board members, investors who'd been with her since the beginning. "So much for small and intimate," Ethan said, looking at the guest list that had somehow ballooned to 200 people. "We don't have to invite all of them," Maya said, but she didn't sound convinced. "Yes, we do. And that's okay. It's one day. We can survive one day of being social. I hate being social. Since when? You run a company. You're social all the time. That's different. That's work social. This is personal social. It's worse." Ethan kissed her forehead. "We'll get through it together. You promise?" "I promise." Lily, meanwhile, had very specific opinions about everything. The flowers had to be purple. The cake had to be chocolate. She needed a dress that was twirly enough to spin in, but not so twirly that she'd trip. "She's 6, Claire said when Ethan complained about the demands. "Let her have opinions. It's good practice for when she's a teenager and has opinions about everything." "Oh, spotty." That's a terrifying thought. Welcome to parenting. They set the date for late March, giving themselves 3 months to plan. It felt rushed, but Maya didn't want to wait any longer than necessary. "I've already waited 9 years, she said. "I'm not waiting another minute more than I have to." Ethan couldn't argue with that logic. The therapy sessions continued. Dr. Morris helped Ethan work through his guilt about Sarah, about feeling like he was replacing her by marrying Maya. It was slow work, painful work, but necessary work. "Sarah was Lily's biological mother," Dr. Morris said during one session. "But Maya is raising her. Both things can be true. It doesn't diminish Sarah's importance to acknowledge Maya's role. I know that logically, but emotionally. Emotionally, you feel like you're betraying Sarah by moving on. Yeah. Do you think Sarah would want you to spend the rest of your life alone? No. Then you're not betraying her. You're honoring her by continuing to live, by giving Lily a mother who loves her, by letting yourself be happy again. Ethan sat with that for a long time. The idea that moving forward wasn't betrayal, that loving Maya didn't mean forgetting Sarah, that he could carry both truths at once. I wish Lily remembered her, he said quietly. I know. She asks sometimes about her birth mom, and I tell her stories, but they're my stories, not hers. That must be hard. It is. But Maya never tries to replace Sarah in those stories. She just adds to them. She tells Lily that her birth mom loved her very much, and that love doesn't go away just because someone dies. That's a beautiful thing to tell a child. Maya's good at that, being beautiful without trying. Oh, Dr. Morris smiled. You love her very much. More than I thought possible. Then let yourself have this happiness. You've earned it. But earning happiness and accepting it turned out to be two different things. The nightmare started in February. Always the same dream. Ethan standing in a hospital room watching Maya slip away like Sarah had. He'd wake up gasping, his heart racing, and reach for Maya to make sure she was still there. I'm okay, she'd murmur, half asleep. I'm right here. But the dreams continued. Some nights Ethan couldn't fall back asleep at all, too afraid of what he'd see if he closed his eyes. You need to tell Dr. Morris about this, Maya said after a particularly bad night. I will. When? Next session. That's a week away. Can you make it a week? I'll be fine. But he wasn't fine. The lack of sleep was catching up with him. He snapped at Henderson at work. He forgot to pick up Lily from school one afternoon, leaving Claire to cover for him. He burned dinner 3 nights in a row. Maya watched all of this with growing concern, but didn't push. She knew Ethan well enough to know that pushing would only make him retreat further into himself. Finally, on a Thursday night in mid-February, Ethan broke down. They were in the kitchen. Maya was making tea. Lily was already asleep upstairs. And Ethan was just standing there staring at nothing when the fear suddenly overwhelmed him. I can't do this, he said. Maya set down the kettle. Can't do what? Any of it. The wedding, the future, all of it. I can't lose you the way I lost Sarah. You're not going to lose me. You can't know that. Ethan! No. Listen to me. Sarah was healthy one day and dying the next. What if that happens to you? What if I marry you and then you're just gone and I have to watch Lily lose another mother? That's not going to happen. You don't know that. His voice was louder than he intended. Nobody knows that. Life just happens and people die and nothing we do can stop it. Maya crossed the kitchen and took his face in her hands. You're right. I don't know what the future holds. I could get sick. You could get sick. Either one of us could walk out that door tomorrow and never come back. Life is terrifying and uncertain and completely out of our control. That's not helping. So I'm not done. Yes, all of that is true, but hiding from it doesn't make it less true. Not marrying me doesn't protect you from loss. It just means you lose out on all the good stuff in between. What if the good stuff isn't worth the risk? Then you tell me that right now. You tell me you don't want to marry me, and I'll take off this ring and we'll figure out what comes next. Ethan stared at her. At the woman who'd loved him for 9 years, who'd raised his daughter, who'd stood beside him through every hard moment without asking for anything in return. I can't do that, he said. Then what do you want? I want to not be terrified all the time. I want to marry you without feeling like I'm waiting for everything to fall apart. I want to be normal. We're never going to be normal, Ethan. We're 2 broken people who found each other and decided to be broken together. That's not normal, but it's real. I don't know if real is enough. Maya's expression cracked slightly, hurt flashing across her face. Then figure it out, but figure it out soon, because I can't keep doing this dance where you're halfway in and halfway out. Either you want this or you don't. She left the kitchen, and Ethan heard her footsteps on the stairs. A door closed softly. He stood there alone, feeling like the world's biggest idiot. Claire showed up the next morning before Ethan left for work. Maya called me, she said, pushing past him into the house. Of course she did. She's worried about you. I'm worried about you. What the hell is going on? Ethan collapsed onto the couch. I'm having nightmares about her dying. About Maya dying? Every night, I close my eyes and I'm back in that hospital room watching Sarah slip away, except it's Maya this time. Claire sat beside him. You need to talk to your therapist about this. Sat beside Dad. I know. Today, not next week, today. It's Friday. She probably doesn't have appointments. Then make her have an appointment. This is serious, Ethan. He knew she was right. The nightmares were consuming him, turning what should have been the happiest time of his life into a waking terror. Dr. Morris agreed to see him that afternoon. Ethan left work early and drove to her office, feeling like a failure. Tell me about the nightmares, she said once he was settled. So he did. Every detail. The hospital room. Maya's hand going cold. The feeling of watching her die while being powerless to stop it. How long has this been going on? Dr. Morris asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. And you didn't think to call me? I thought I could handle it. Ethan, PTSD from watching a spouse die doesn't just go away. You experienced a trauma. Getting engaged is triggering that trauma because it's making you vulnerable again. So what do I do? You accept that the fear is real, but it doesn't have to control you. You acknowledge that yes, Maya could die. You could die. Lily could die. Anyone could die at any moment. But living in fear of that doesn't protect you. It just makes you miss the life you have right now. That's what Maya said. Maya's a smart woman. You should listen to her. I'm trying. Try harder. Because if you don't deal with this now, it's going to destroy your relationship. And from what you've told me, that would be a terrible waste. Dr. Morris gave him some exercises to do when the nightmares hit. Grounding techniques. Ways to remind himself that the past wasn't the present. That Maya wasn't Sarah. It's going to take time, she warned. Trauma doesn't heal overnight, but you can heal. You just have to be willing to do the work. Ethan drove home determined to do better. He found Maya in the kitchen making dinner, her movements mechanical. Can we talk? He asked. If you want to call off the wedding, just say it. I don't want to call off the wedding. Then what do you want? Tio, I want to apologize for last night, for making you feel like I don't want this, because I do want this. I want you. I want the wedding, and in the future, and all of it. I'm just scared. Maya set down her knife. I know you're scared, but I need you to fight through the fear instead of letting it win. I'm trying. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're giving up. The words hit hard because they were true. Ethan had been giving up, letting the fear control him instead of fighting back. You're right, he said. I've been letting the fear win, but I don't want to do that anymore. What changed? I saw Dr. Morris today. Emergency session. She helped me see that I've been treating this relationship like it's temporary. Like I'm just waiting for you to leave. But you're not leaving. And even if something did happen, hiding from you doesn't protect me. It just makes me miss out on right now. Maya's expression softened slightly. I'm not going anywhere, Ethan. How many times do I have to say it? Probably a few hundred more times before I really believe it. Then I'll keep saying it every day if I have to. Ethan crossed the kitchen and pulled her close. I love you. I'm sorry I've been making this so hard. I love you too, and I know it's hard. But we can do hard things. We've been doing hard things for 9 years. Together? Together. They stood like that for a long time, holding each other in their kitchen while dinner cooled on the stove. Dad? Mama? Lily's voice came from the doorway. Are you guys okay? They pulled apart to find her standing there, looking worried. We're okay, baby, Ethan said. You promise? Because last night you were fighting, and then Mama went upstairs and you looked sad. We weren't fighting, we were just figuring things out. Are you still getting married? Yes. You promise? I promise. Lily looked between them suspiciously. Okay, but if you break up, I'm staying with Mama, just so you know. Despite everything, Ethan laughed, noted, I'm serious. She's better at making breakfast. I'm better at making breakfast, Maya protested. That's what I said. She said, I'm better, Ethan pointed out. No, I said Mama's better. Pay attention, Dad. Maya grinned, and the tension that had been sitting between them for days finally broke. The nightmares didn't stop immediately, but they became less frequent, and when they did hit, Ethan had tools to deal with them, ways to ground himself, ways to remember that the fear was just fear, not reality. March came faster than expected. Suddenly, the wedding was 3 weeks away, then 2, then 1. The house became chaos, dress fittings and flower arrangements and seating charts spread across every surface. I thought we were keeping this simple, Ethan said, looking at a binder full of wedding details that was 3 inches thick. This is simple, Maya said. You should see what a complicated wedding looks like. I'm good, thanks. Lily's dress arrived 2 weeks before the wedding. She tried it on immediately, spinning in circles until she got dizzy. It's perfect, she declared. I'm going to be the best flower girl ever. You're going to be the only flower girl, Ethan pointed out, which automatically makes me the best. Can't argue with that logic. The night before the wedding, Ethan couldn't sleep. Not because of nightmares this time, but because his mind wouldn't shut off. Tomorrow he was getting married. Tomorrow Maya would become his wife. Tomorrow everything would change. Except nothing was really changing. They already lived together. Already raised Lily together. Already functioned as a family unit. The wedding was just making it official. But official mattered. Official meant commitment. Official meant he was choosing this, choosing her, choosing them. His phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Can't sleep either. Ethan smiled and typed back. Nervous? Excited. You? Both. Want to break tradition and see me before tomorrow? You're across the hall. I can see you any time. Not after midnight. That's bad luck. It's 11:47, then you have 13 minutes to sneak over here. Ethan got out of bed and crossed the hallway to the guest room where Maya had been sleeping as part of their attempt at tradition. He knocked softly, and she opened the door immediately. Hey, she said. Hey. They stood in the doorway, looking at each other like teenagers. This is weird, Maya said. Everything about us is weird. True. Ethan pulled her close, breathing in the familiar scent of her. I can't wait to marry you tomorrow. Tomorrow's too far away. Can we do it now? Pretty sure we need a judge for that. Minor detail. They stood there holding each other until Ethan's phone buzzed. Midnight. I should go, yeah, he said. Probably. But neither of them moved. Thank you, Ethan said finally. For what? For waiting. For loving me when I couldn't see it. For being patient while I figured it out. For choosing us every single day, even when I made it difficult. You're going to make me cry before the wedding even starts. Dates. Good. Then you'll be all cried out tomorrow. Maya laughed, wiping at her eyes. I love you. I love you too. See you at the altar. Don't be late. Wouldn't dream of it. The wedding took place in a garden on the outskirts of the city. Spring had come early, and everything was blooming. White chairs lined a stone pathway. Purple flowers, Lily's request, covered every available surface. Ethan stood at the altar with his hands in his pockets, trying not to fidget. The guests were seated. The music had started. Claire stood beside him as his best man, best woman, grinning like an idiot. You good? She whispered. I'm good. You sure? Because you look like you might pass out. I'm not going to pass out. Famous last words. Oh. Then Lily appeared at the end of the aisle, wearing her purple twirly dress and carrying a basket of flower petals. She walked slowly, carefully, doing exactly what they'd practiced. When she reached the front, she gave Ethan a thumbs up. He grinned. Good job, baby. I didn't trip once. I'm very proud. Then the music changed and Maya appeared. She wore a simple white dress, elegant and understated. Her hair was down, the way Ethan liked it. No veil, no train, nothing fussy. Just Maya, looking more beautiful than he'd ever seen her. Their eyes met across the garden, and Maya smiled. That real smile she reserved just for him. Ethan felt tears sting his eyes. After 9 years, after all the waiting and hoping and fear, here she was, walking toward him, choosing him, loving him. Maya reached the altar, and Ethan took her hands. Hi, she whispered. Hi. You ready for this? More than ready. The ceremony was short. They'd written their own vows, both agreeing that the traditional ones didn't quite fit. Ethan went first, his voice shaking slightly. Maya, 9 years ago you walked into my life and refused to leave. You loved my daughter before I knew how to be a father. You loved me before I was capable of loving you back. You built a life beside me while I was too blind to see it, and now I get to spend the rest of my life trying to deserve what you've already given me. I promise to see you, to choose you, to love you every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because you're worth it. You've always been worth it. Listen. Maya was crying now, tears streaming down her face. She took a shaky breath and began her own vows. Ethan, I fell in love with you the moment I saw you holding your newborn daughter, looking terrified and determined and completely overwhelmed, and I thought, that's the kind of man worth waiting for. So I waited. I waited through every hard day and every missed signal and every moment when I thought you'd never see me. But you're seeing me now, and I'm so glad I waited. I promise to stand beside you, to love your daughter like she's mine, to remind you that you're enough exactly as you are, and to never let you forget that the love you spent so long searching for was standing in your kitchen the entire time. Ethan laughed through his tears. That was a callback to my proposal. I thought it was romantic. It was. The officiant cleared his throat. If we could continue? They exchanged rings. Maya's vintage band joined by a simple gold ring for Ethan. Then the officiant pronounced them married, and Maya kissed him before he'd even finished the sentence. The crowd laughed and cheered. Lily threw handfuls of flower petals at them. Claire whistled loud enough to be heard across the city. And Ethan thought, this is it. This is what happiness feels like. The reception was held in a hall nearby. Dinner and dancing and speeches that made both of them cry. Claire told embarrassing stories about Ethan as a kid. Maya's assistant talked about how Maya had been impossible to work with for 9 years because she was always running off to help with Lily. Lily gave her own speech, announcing to everyone that she now had the best mom in the world, and everyone else could just deal with it. She's not wrong, Ethan murmured to Maya. You're biased. Absolutely. They danced to a song they'd picked together, something slow and romantic that had been playing in the coffee shop the day they met. Maya rested her head on Ethan's shoulder, and he held her close, still not quite believing this was real. What are you thinking about? Maya asked. That I almost missed this. I almost spent the rest of my life as your friend and never knew what I was missing. But you didn't miss it. You're here now. Thanks to you, you never gave up. I couldn't give up. Giving up would have meant losing you completely. I'm glad you're stubborn. Me too. Later that night, after the guests had left and Lily was staying with Claire, Ethan and Maya stood on the balcony of their hotel room, looking out at the city. We did it, Maya said. We did. Ooh, you're stuck with me now. Good. I've been stuck with you for 9 years anyway. Might as well make it legal. Maya laughed and leaned into him. Thank you for finally catching up. Thank you for waiting. They stood there in comfortable silence, and Ethan thought about all the years that had led to this moment. The grief and the fear and the slowly building love that he'd been too blind to see. Sarah dying had broken him, but Maya had helped him heal, piece by piece, day by day, until he was whole enough to love again. Do you think Sarah would approve? He asked quietly. Maya was quiet for a moment. I think she'd be grateful that Lily has a mother who loves her, and that you have someone who makes you happy. She would have liked you. You think so? I know so. You're both stubborn and brilliant and way too good for me. That's definitely true. Ethan laughed, pulling Maya closer. Tomorrow they'd go back to regular life, back to work and school pickups and mundane routines. But everything would be different now. Better. Because they were a family. Officially, legally, permanently. A family built on patience and love and the kind of friendship that had survived 9 years of waiting. 1 week after the wedding, Ethan came home from work to find Maya in the kitchen making dinner. It was a normal Tuesday. Nothing special. But watching her move around their kitchen, her kitchen now, legally, Ethan felt the same rush of gratitude he'd felt at the wedding. What? Maya asked, catching him staring. Nothing. Just looking. You're always looking lately. Can you blame me? You're my wife now. I'm allowed to look. You were allowed to look before. Yeah, but now it's official. Maya rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. You're ridiculous. You married me. What does that say about you? That I have terrible judgment? Probably. Lily came running down the stairs, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders. Mama, can you help me with my math homework? After dinner, sweetheart. But it's due tomorrow. Then you should have started it earlier. Lily groaned dramatically and flopped onto the couch. Dad, tell Mama to help me. Not a chance. Mama's right. You should have started earlier. You guys are supposed to be on my side. We're on your side, Maya said. That's why we're teaching you responsibility. I liked it better when you just did things for me. Too bad. You're 7 now. You're practically an adult. I'm not an adult. I still need help. After dinner, Ethan watched this exchange with a quiet smile. This was what he'd been missing for 6 years. Not just a partner for himself, but a co-parent for Lily. Someone who loved her enough to set boundaries. Someone who showed up every day without being asked. They ate dinner together, pasta that Lily complained about, even though she ate 2 helpings. They helped with homework, which turned into a minor battle over fractions that nobody won. They gave Lily a bath and read her bedtime stories and tucked her in with her stuffed rabbit. Normal, boring, domestic life. And it was everything. Later that night, curled up on the couch with Maya, Ethan thought about how he'd spent years just surviving. Getting through each day, keeping his head above water, never imagining that life could be more than that. But somewhere along the way, without him noticing, surviving had turned into living. What are you thinking about? Maya asked, her head on his shoulder. That I'm happy. Good. You deserve to be happy. So do you. I am happy. I've been happy since the day you finally kissed me. That took me way too long. 9 years too long. Are you going to hold that over my head forever? Absolutely. Ethan kissed the top of her head. Fair enough. They sat in comfortable silence, the TV playing some show neither of them was really watching. Outside, the city hummed with evening traffic. Upstairs, Lily was probably already asleep, clutching her rabbit. This was their life now. Not perfect. Not without struggles or fears or hard days, but real. Built on years of friendship and patience and love that had grown slowly until it couldn't be ignored anymore. Maya? Ethan said after a while. Yeah? I'm glad you were stubborn. Me too. And I'm glad you waited. Me too. And I'm glad. Ethan, if you're about to list everything you're glad about, we're going to be here all night. Would that be so bad? Maya lifted her head to look at him, her dark eyes warm. No, it wouldn't be bad at all. So he did. He told her all the things he was grateful for, big things and small things. The way she made coffee in the morning, the way she loved Lily fiercely and without reservation, the way she'd stood beside him through every hard moment without asking for anything in return, the way she saw him, really saw him, even when he was at his worst. You're going to make me cry, Maya said when he finished. That seems to be my specialty lately. It's a good specialty. She kissed him then, soft and slow, and Ethan thought about how close he'd come to missing this. How he'd almost spent his whole life blind to what was right in front of him. But he hadn't missed it. Maya had made sure of that. She'd stayed and waited and loved him long enough for him to catch up. And now they had forever. Years later, when people asked Ethan how he and Maya got together, he always told the truth. That she'd loved him for 9 years before he woke up. That she'd raised his daughter while waiting for him to notice her. That she'd been patient when she had every right not to be. And people would say, wow, 9 years? That's a long time to wait. And Ethan would look at Maya, his wife, his partner, his best friend, and say, yeah, but it was worth it. Right. Because sometimes love isn't about perfect timing or dramatic moments or love at first sight. Sometimes love is about showing up every day, making breakfast in someone else's kitchen, reading bedtime stories to a child who isn't yours, waiting patiently for someone to finally see what's been there all along. Sometimes love is standing beside someone while they grieve and survive and slowly, painfully learn to live again. Not because you expect anything in return, but because that's what love does. It stays. It waits. It hopes. And if you're lucky, if you're really, really lucky, The person you've been waiting for finally opens their eyes and sees you standing there, sees everything you've done and everything you've given and everything you've been willing to sacrifice, and they choose you back. That's what Ethan learned. Not from some grand revelation or perfect moment, but from years of ordinary days with an extraordinary woman who loved him long before he deserved it. He learned that the love you're searching for is sometimes already there, standing in your kitchen, making coffee the way you like it, loving your daughter like she's their own, waiting for you to finally wake up. And when you do wake up, when you finally see what's been there all along, you hold on tight and never let go. Because that kind of love, patient, steady, unconditional love, is worth every second of the wait. Even if it takes 9 years. Especially if it takes 9 years.